Hello and welcome to this year's Student Spotlight show in Bangor. Once again, we have 3 new hot topics for our politicians to discuss. So could you please welcome our 4 guests, John Barry of the Green Party, Peter Weir of the Democratic Unionist Party, Minister of Employment and Learning Stephen Farr of the Alliance Party, and also Unionists Leslie Cray. Now let's have our first question of the day from Anya Blaney.
What are your views on the redevelopment of the seafront at Bangor Queen's Parade?
John Barry.
Well, this has been an issue that's been ongoing for quite some time, and I think I feel a little bit inadequate in answering, given I'm a very new member of council. I mean, I think certainly my 3 colleagues here have a lot more knowledge and experience of it.
Did you say blame?
No, I think it is a very complicated issue in terms of the assembly of the land that's needed. DSD, the Department of Social Development, has said that it's got some money. A developer contract hasn't been signed yet, but there is a preferred developer hasn't been appointed. I mean, my view is sadly that the economic recession means that the capital needed to develop that, according to the plans that were initially outlined, probably is not going to happen for quite some time. I think it's more important, though, to see this development in the context of the wider Bangor master plan. So I think, yes, there's a plan there. I think the economic crisis has come at the wrong time. The capital, in my view, will not be there to develop it as it should. And therefore we should be looking at alternative ways of taking the bad luck off that site, because it is Northern Ireland's, well, at one stage, Northern Ireland's #1 public eyesore.
Okay. Stephen Farry.
Well, I mean, this has been a very long journey, and there's still a little bit of travelling to be done on this. I think it's important to see this in a positive sense. I mean, this is critical to the regeneration of Bangor. And Bangor Town Centre is struggling, and it's struggling more than a lot of other town centres across Northern Ireland. And we need a critical mass of economic activity. It's very hard to reverse the trend of out of town or edge of town shopping. I mean, that's where people want to go. They have the ready access to car parking. So we need to think about new and different things to put in town centres to have that activity. So having a mix of retail, a mix of leisure, a mix of eateries, and plus the theatre, I think is a good way of trying to capitalise and reinvent Bangor in terms of being an event destination, and also giving people something to do in terms of the daytime and evenings. So I think it is an exciting plan. We finally have consensus amongst all the parties and partners as to what is to be built. It's now just a case of getting on and having it done. And Carl Green Farm are the preferred developer, and it's now up to them in DSD to press the go button and to get this into planning and then to get this built.
Okay. Peter Weir.
Thank you. Well, I suppose really some of it's been said already. I mean, what I would say is, first of all, as regards Bangor, we've got to be careful while there are tough economic times. I maybe slightly disagree with Stephen. There's tough economic times. I think that we've got to be careful we don't talk ourselves down, and certainly the message that we've got from, for instance, the town centre managers, that while there's problems in Bangor, there are actually things which are replicated elsewhere that probably we're no better or worse than other places. And where there has been, I think, a shift, particularly from a retail point of view, maybe less actually, to be fair, towards the out-of-town shopping centres who've more or less held their own. But we all know that there's big changes in terms of a retail point of view, that more and more people, for instance, are using the internet and using that as a vehicle. That's where there's been the big growth in terms of retail. So we've got to provide that degree of support to our town centre. As indicated, the council, in conjunction with the DSD, with developer, and with also the groups like the YMCA, like the Better Bangor campaign, have formed a group in terms of the town centre master plan that are helping to implement this. Now, John's right in terms of, I think the big problem is going to be trying to get capital. I think, to be fair, there's a commitment there from DSD, and I think there's likely to be progress on that side of it. So I think the long-term future will be quite good. I think it's about getting over the hump of getting the initial level of investment in. But it's also, I think, as Stephen and others have said, in terms of ensuring that you've actually got a whole centre and indeed a range of things. And so, for example, there's been, from the council's point of view, quite a large investment in the revamping of Picky Pool. Now, I appreciate maybe not everybody's going to be going down there, but that will actually help attract in people with the sort of the mini golf course and a range of activities. It's looking very good. It's due to open at Easter. So it is actually about getting a mix of things, looking to the long term. But things are not going to turn around there overnight. It is a very long saga.
Okay. Leslie Cray.
Yeah, well, certainly it hasn't turned over, overnight. In fact, it goes way back 10 plus years. Whenever the council, following the development of the marina, and the question is clearly about Queen's Parade, that Queen's Parade was a target area. The council spent some time and some £5 million assembling that land block by negotiation. They then went through a procedure of developing a brief and putting that out for bids, and they did get several contenders for that. The difficulty is that a lot of them fell down, dropped out or whatever. So whenever it came to the situation, there were only two really left. One of them was a local consortium, which in fact was a shell company. It didn't have the resources. And some of us in the council were very much concerned about that. In fact, Stephen will remember the actual voting was 13 to 12 to give it to the developer. I'm pleased to say, and there's no comfort in it now, that I was one of the 12. So we had the wrong developer, and now some 8-9 years later we know we had the wrong developer. So to some extent we've missed the boat because we've gone through the rise, and unfortunately now we're on the decline. The thing that concerns me now is we all want to get something sorted out. It's a very difficult time to do it, and whilst the DSD are on board on sort of comprehensive redevelopment, they have several towns and several plans to look at, and I would be concerned that the so-called master plan now, because it's so varied, covers so many things, not just Queen's Parade, that's going to put it really, I think, on the long finger again, because there just is not the money in DSD to do this, and there's certainly no money, or very little money in the economy to speculate for a development of that nature. So it really needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. I'm afraid we're in for a long haul in this. It's too bad we had the wrong developer, but it's history now.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. And now for our second question from Brian Hamilton.
What action would you take to provide job opportunities for young people and university graduates in the North Down area?
Stephen Farrick.
Why me? Well, I mean, this is a huge issue, and I mean, I could probably talk for half an hour in terms of this. We have an issue with unemployment in Northern Ireland, in particular youth unemployment. I mean, our overall unemployment figure is now below 7%, but that masks that for those within the 18-24 age group, we're talking about a figure of about 18.5%. So there's something like 20,000 young people who are currently out of work right across Northern Ireland, and obviously within somewhere like North Down, you're talking potentially well over 1,000 young people who are out of work. Now, within that group, you're going to have a whole range of different levels of education, levels of training. Some people will have no structural barriers to entering work, except that there isn't the opportunities. For others, they will actually have some particular barriers that we have to address. So, at present, we are finalising a strategy for tackling youth unemployment in Northern Ireland. To give you a scoop, that was agreed by the executive yesterday. That's the Northern Ireland executive in principle, and currently we're looking for the resources from the finance minister, who's one of Peter Weir's colleagues, to actually formally put this into practice. What we're talking about trying to do is particularly around work experience opportunities, because often what young people find is that they can't get on the first rung of the ladder, because you're often told by employers, well, you can't get a job without experience, and you can't really get experience without a job. So we're trying to break this cycle by putting in place, first of all, a phase of work placement tasters of about 6 to 8 weeks, and then a second tranche of work experience between about 6 and 9 months. And also we're looking for the funds to do an employer subsidy, which would money that the state would give to employers to take a chance on a young person. So this would be where a company says, well, I may be interested in taking on some more people, but I can't afford to pay the wages, whether we can actually create an incentive there for employers to do that. I've been talking to a lot of companies across Northern Ireland and the employer organisations. They're all very enthusiastic about doing this. I think amongst young people there's a real hunger to avail of work experience, and within the programme for government and economic strategy, we're talking about trying to do about 6,000 placements through to 2015, and I expect we will have plenty of demand for those placements.
Okay.